Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Winter Wonderland, where today I want to talk about the SF90 Stradale because, as many of you will know, I have an inbound Ferrari 296 GTS. So what is the future of this car? Am I going to be selling it? Will it find a new home? Well, today it's really quite cold right now. It's about -6, -7 degrees Celsius. It was -11 or 12 earlier, and in fact, it's been quite an eventful day so far, which I shall explain in a moment, but we're up here in the snow. Of course, we've got winter tyres and we've got the roof box, but we've also got some very nice roads off in this direction where we are heading today, and it looks set to be really quite fun, to be honest. So I want to give you a bit of an update on how this has gone on the journey so far. We're at about 10,000 kilometers, 6,000 miles or so on the SF90 Stradale. Absolutely loving this car, even if it is, I mean, it's caked in grime. Look at the door mirror. That is genuinely disgusting. But yes, very cold, so let's have a quick overview of what's about to happen, a bit of an update with this, and then we'll dive into it today with what the future for this car is and what other cars might come down the line a little bit more. Update on this then, roof box. We've done quite a lot of miles or kilometers, whichever way you want to look at it, with the box on the roof. Now, the one thing that I've noticed is when it is quite this cold, and I don't know why I'm not wearing gloves and a hat right now, the suction gets a little bit looser. You need to run around and just kind of double check these, and I had been told that in advance, so I kind of expected it, but it is definitely true. When it's below -10, also when it's below -10 or so, it doesn't really let you drive in full electric mode, which is something I didn't know too much about before. The car is caked in grime. It's going to need the most thorough of thorough cleaning jobs when we get home. In fact, around on the other side, if you come around here, down underneath it, well, this looks like a factory painted pinstripe going on with the snow around that horseshoe shape at the front. Look. We've got little icicles beneath the side skirt down there. My gosh. I don't think there's ever been an SF90 as dirty as my SF90 right now, but I just want to check all of these before we continue. But otherwise, it's gone remarkably well. I know I overspoke about it in the first video when we were getting started on this journey, but I was really worried about something simple going wrong, something simple not coming together as I imagined it in my head. But this whole process has gone exactly to plan. The car is fabulous, but it's really cold. So let's hop in and let's get started on the drive. I have to say quickly, the winter tyres at the start of this journey, when it was around 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, were not really the best. They were a little bit spongy. In this weather, on these kind of conditions, they are amazing. This is exactly what they are for. Actually quite funny, look, the door button is covered in snow. Anyway, inside here, it's getting filthy as well, so it's going to have a complete thorough clean, bash off the snow before stepping in. Eventually, when we get home, this is going to need a full run through. What does it tell us right now? Wait for it, and we will get the temperature reading down here somewhere. Oh, it's only -5. Not too bad at all. Right, let me, in fact, have a cold start. There we go. Get things warmer and get ready to head on out into the whiteness. Sorry, I was completely all over there with the camera, thanks to the snow all over the windshield right now. It is very, very quickly warming up in here, which is supremely welcome. Now, for me to do my heated seat is a case of going into these screens, which always just takes me a moment to work out. Where do I go here? They swipe around. Seat, thermal comfort. That's what we want. Thermal comfort. And it's quite interesting. Look at this. It shows you the way it gives the different heated seat graphics. Anyway, I'm going to try not to bore you too much with all of this. Is that done? Yes, that's on too, I think. Yep, shows me a little graphic down there. I haven't actually done that before. I don't tend to use the heated seat very often, but when it's showing you -6 Celsius, you need to. It is freezing. Now, this might be stating the obvious, but pulling away on snow, and it uses, remember in this car, when you're reversing, it's only using the electric motors at the front. You're not reversing on the combustion engine at all, which is an unusual sensation. But regardless, snow is a non-issue when you have winter tyres. This is actually at the top of the Julia Pass, which is 2,300 meters or so. We are heading down because we're going northwards at the moment, but you are definitely very aware of the thin air that you have up here. And even on a day like today, where it's completely overcast and a whiteout, look at the view off to the side, down through the valley. Just astonishing. Now, I want to dive into whether I'm going to sell this car, or what car could arrive that might make me sell this car. But before we do, a little bit more about the Ferraris that will be in my future garage. Now, of course, I currently have this, the SF90 Stradale, and the GTC Lusso V12. Now, it doesn't take a genius to work out that I will probably sell the Lusso once the Pura Sangue arrives, changing a naturally aspirated V12 for another naturally aspirated V12. This is, of course, a hybrid V8, and the 296 GTS is a hybrid V6. So we will have a 6-cylinder engine, an 8-cylinder engine, and a 12-cylinder engine. In theory, all 3 different engine configurations that Ferrari actually offer at this time, which I think is quite fun, to be completely honest. As we snake down the hairpins here, yes, cancel. There we go, gone away. It's always a little bit funny the way it does that, and you just have to wait for it. Maybe I should stop saying the brand name when I'm in this car. I need to get out of that habit. So, to me, those cars are all quite different. This is a coupe, 2-seater coupe. The 296 GTS is a 2-seater Spider, and the Pura Sangue is, of course, a 4-seater 4-door. So, as well as being different engine configurations, they are all actually also different seating configurations, different purposes. In some ways, the 296 and the SF90 obviously do serve slightly similar purposes because they are both fairly usable, comfortable, road compliant, 2-seat mid-engined supercars, but they do it very differently. And this is what I found from actually driving the 296 a fair bit. And this car for me is a super, super, super special machine. I mean, we're just driving down at the moment in everything in auto. We're in performance mode to keep the combustion engine running, but downhill you could just as easily pop it into electric. I'm quite enjoying just chilling and taking it easy, very aware that it's now -8 degrees Celsius, and you never know what could be around the next corner. I've actually got it in comfort mode. I've been driving it in wet, and the difference between comfort sport in this, between wet, sport, race, and then CT off and ESC off, the difference is astonishing. When you're in wet, it's lighting up traction control all the time. You have the warning light flashing at you every couple of seconds, but it's keeping you very, 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 very much in check. And you can really stab the throttle on snow, on hard packed snow, and just keep driving. And it's normal, it's controlled. If you go up through each setting, respectively, they then get a little bit slidier, shall we say. And I found even on full snow that just being in race, certainly CT off, but I was keeping it mostly in race, gets quite fun, gets quite slippy slidey. And as we come around here, by the way, I've actually filmed around here many times in the past. This is a very familiar stretch of road. When we get to that final brow up ahead of us, it's all going to open up and you're going to have an amazing view of a bit of tarmac that snakes backwards and forwards as we go down the hill. In fact, I'm going to go into manual for this because just to enjoy a little bit more of it. But we're actually in Switzerland, and driving, as you might know from my videos, you have to very much watch out around here because speeding is not taken very lightly. I mean, even mid-range, and actually that lit up traction control there in sport mode. I'm not going to take too many chances going downhill. And again, the thing you have to remember is this car has 1,000 horsepower, so even if it doesn't sound like you're revving it up like crazy, you are actually accelerating away way more than you think. Sounds amazing, feels amazing. The whole car is just fabulous. This thing's just absolutely fantastic. Something like that would be a little bit more sensible for today though. Defender for driving around this kind of area. So why or what could get me to sell this? As I'm kind of hinting here, will I be selling this when the 296 GTS arrives? No, that's not the plan at all. I see them as different cars, I see them with different purposes, and this is a car that has such a special place for me because it was my first ever new Ferrari. The first time, we're getting snapped as we make our way down. I've said it again. I've gone and said the name of the brand again. Cancel. Hopefully that is going to detect and turn off the voice recognition. Has it? No, it's still thinking. There we go, it's turned off. First ever new car from the brand from Maranello. Let's say it that way. The first time I had ordered to my specification a new car from Maranello. My 4th car from Maranello, but I think that gives it an extra degree of uniqueness for me and makes it very special for me personally. And obviously having picked it up in Italy, having driven it down to Italy, again, this trip, just this car is something else. There is something in the horizon that could persuade me to say farewell to it. But I want to tell you a bit more about that later on. One thing that I had been saying, if with this you pop it into eDrive and just drive downhill as we are right now on full electric power, as we've got some snow on the road here, this is the crazy thing going downhill. It maintains the charge. You can't see at all that we're accelerating because so much of what you see on a video, whoa, a little bit slippy there, is down to sound. It's genuinely crazy. I'm accelerating pretty decently here and you have no idea through a video, but it manages through regeneration, obviously with braking and traveling downhill, to keep the battery charged when you're driving a pass like this just on electric drive. And it's interesting how 160 horsepower or something, whatever the number is exactly from the front motors, is actually plenty for a downhill run. If you think about it, gravity's on your side. It's as much power as a little MX-5 or something along those lines. Plenty to have a good time with, and certainly to keep up with other traffic that we're following at the moment. As we drive through this winter wonderland, it's the most amazing landscape out here, having been very cold and very snowy, obviously over the last 24 hours prior to us driving through. When you go under 30, you then get the sound that's playing outside. I guess that's a regulation thing. It shows you on the screen. Not sure if you can see down here, there's a little graphic with a speaker, which is basically to let you know that outside the car, they are hearing you coming when you're driving in full electric, unless of course you go and it fires up again. Now, I know a lot of people find all of this quite fiddly, the different hybrid e-Manatino settings and the regular Manatino settings, but I've got so used to it now. You know, this car has, well, today on this journey, it's going to go through 10,000 kilometers. We follow through here. Thank you to these people kindly waiting. I was like, black car, black car, black car, black car, black car, grey car. This brings a touch of colour to the scenery. Every second car has a roof box on the top, including this one. But I don't think most people expect to see this kind of car being driven here. And you know what? With a little car park here that's covered in snow, I'm going to pull in just because this is what I find so fascinating, right? Obviously barely moving. But if I brake right now, we have complete braking power. Complete braking power. If I accelerate away, okay, there's a little bit of slip while we're trying, but testing like this is, I always find it fascinating. I'm just gonna head up this way for a second, not doing anything silly. I'm not about to go and do donuts because we're in Switzerland and they'll throw the book at me if I do that, but just to get a sense for what the car can do. Like, this is driving up a hill here, right, into a car park. These are exactly the kind of conditions where if you have the summer tyres, if we were on Sport Cup 2s right now, the stock tyre for this car, I just wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to drive around here. We would just be spinning freely. It makes me wonder about the four-wheel drive system in this, because it's not your traditional four-wheel drive system with the front and rear linked. By having electric up front and combustion engine with electric at the back, it's a very, 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 very different setup. But we have like complete ability to just drive around in it, which I find fascinating. Never underestimate how important tyres are. Now look at this. This is literally on snow and it's no problem. It's no problem at all until I run into a roadblock down here. It looks cool though. Like, this is just amazing. Who would have thought that you could use a Ferrari supercar like this and just move around on these kind of conditions? You know, I tried recently when I was at the Stradman's house with the GT Black series on snow, and it could move with its Sport Cup 2s, but if it was like this, there's no way I'd be able to do that. In fact, let me just put it into eDrive. So we're just on electric now. It's actually harder. Feels like the front wheels don't want to get moving. And that is one of the things. Electric cars struggle because instant torque is bad in snowy conditions, because you just can't get the grip with them. You just can't get the grip down on the snow as it should be. We've actually got the traction light on there. It just feels so weird and so wrong in some ways, but yet so right and so much fun as we head back out onto the main road. One of the fun things about where I've pulled in with this car right now is that this is actually a place I have been with many of the Shmeemobiles before. The view over here, over the frozen lake, sadly being too overcast to actually see all that much, but a very, very cool place to be with a very unusual car for the purpose that is getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. This is not how you normally expect to see a Ferrari, but hey, there's something fun about that, isn't there? There's something fun, even if it pains me to have a car quite this filthy, about seeing something like this in these kind of conditions. Yeah, as you do. That's a Cayenne Turbo GT. Spotted. Back in the car, and we've just come slightly further down the valley and we're nearly out of snow. It's still -6 degrees here, but not really snowing in the same way, and just chilling on cruise control and letting the car do its thing. But let me tell you a little bit about the timeline for the future Ferraris, the future additions to the Shmeemobiles, the Purosangue and the 296 GTS. So contrary to my initial expectations, I think the one of them that will arrive first, the first to take delivery, will be the Purosangue, which I never thought would happen, but I've been super lucky with my allocation and my slot, let's say, for the Purosangue. So that should be ready before too long. The 296, on the other hand, I think is going to be about a year from now. I think early 2024, probably, which makes sense, because at this time of year, there's not all that much point in taking delivery of a convertible supercar. It's not exactly the most suited to it in the world, so I'm not unhappy if instead of arriving in November, December, it doesn't arrive until February or March. That'll work out perfectly, to be honest. The Purosangue, on the other hand, if it were to arrive for next winter, how cool would that be? How cool would it be? I don't know yet. I can't commit to anything. It's so early in the lifetime, of course, of the car. They haven't decided full build schedules, etc, etc. But obviously there will be full spec updates with both cars in the not too distant future as well. One is a bit of a nod to a personal story. The other is something totally new for me. The other is something that will probably be a bit of a surprise. So that's all to come soon. Look at this, there's no snow left. It's gone. I didn't expect that at all. Feels like we're still in the mountains, especially with the twisty roads as we head on down from here, but gone is all of the lovely white stuff. Although I tell you what, in wet mode, this is still absolutely lighting up traction. Even here, look, the little light blinks constantly. There we go, on it goes. Whatever you do, and that's at 50 kilometers an hour just in a corner. So it's interesting how much it's intervening when you have it in wet mode. If you obviously turn that to sport, it gets far less intrusive. You still need to be obviously very aware of it and the fact that it's 1,000 horsepower. It can bite you very, 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 very quickly, but otherwise, easy going. Well, it's time to join the motorway here towards Chur after descending from the valleys. Now, I often talk about how stressful it is to drive in Switzerland, and I think to the extent that it almost sounds like a joke when I'm talking about it, that I always mention that when you're here, you have to drive at exactly the speed limit, you have to be completely on it with everything you do. And this is quite a funny story, because this morning we actually got pulled over. We got pulled over by a Swiss police officer, not because of technically doing anything wrong in the car, but because we were taking photos, along with a few other cars that were up for doing some shoots this morning, and with a load of photographers. Anybody who was holding a hand out of the window, a camera out of the window, or anything like that, got fined. It was unknown to all of us that if you put your window down and hold your hand out here, you actually get a fine for it. Sounds like I'm joking, but apparently that's the case. Might have misunderstood something, but some big amounts of money have been taken. By big amounts of money, we're talking like 400, 500, 600 Swiss francs or euros. Like 500 bucks for holding a hand out the window to take a photo. Not the driver, obviously. If it was the driver, that would be kind of a no-brainer. We're talking passengers holding a phone or a camera out the window. It's just a difficult place sometimes, because I feel like the punishment doesn't really fit the crime. You know, like here, for example, we're just chilling, we're just cruising. I always drive at exactly the speed limit. Like, it's boring. You just try and travel through the country as quickly as you can, and I have in this car the adaptive cruise control, so I can literally just turn it on, figure out what the GPS speed is to make sure that we're going at exactly 100 kilometers an hour, which is the speed limit here, and the car will do the rest, and I don't have to think about it, because a couple of kilometers an hour over the limit and I'm going to get a fine for something silly. It's annoying. And this morning was it put a bit of a dampener on everybody's moods, because of course we was just out having some fun, taking some photos of cars, and then some very, very, very big fines got involved. Bizarre world, absolutely bizarre world. Now, one thing that is quite fun, given that we've got all of the dashboard in kilometers to be over here in Europe, 9953 in 47 kilometers time, we will hit 10,000 Ks, which is 6,190 something miles, which is a whole lot in this car, and I'm absolutely loving it. It is actually super windy here as we're kind of chasing the train down the motorway as it happens, but this is about to turn to 10,000. Wait for it. There we go. 10,000 kilometers done on the SF90 Stradale in not that long. That's the scary thing with this car. And I realize I still haven't actually spoken about what could be the car that would do the persuasion. Well, to summarize, you might have seen that Ferrari are planning a Versione Speciale of this, a more track-focused version akin to the 812 Competizione to the 812 Superfast, the 488 Pista to the 488 GTB. There'll be something like that for the SF90. I don't know if it's SF90 Corsa or something, given this is the SF90 Stradale, kind of leaning themselves into that. And I have actually mentioned that on the channel a few times before, that for me, the Assetto Fiorano, the Fiorano package that you can get for this car, which gives you a firmer suspension setup, you can't have the lift system, but fills the interior with more carbon fiber, like full carbon fiber door cards instead of all of the leather and Alcantara, and also a bigger spoiler at the back. One of the reasons for not going for that was that I always believed a more focused version of this would come. What I don't know, obviously, is how the allocation process for that car is going to work. Whether I will be lucky enough to be able to purchase one, how many there will be. I mean, it's all rumours, right? At this stage, there's no existence of that car confirmed, other than spy shots of what you can safely assume is going to be that car. So, fingers crossed, that could come. And if it does come, would it be as well as this or instead of this? I don't know. I make no secret that I'd love to grow a bit of a Ferrari collection. Fast forward a few years, I'd like to have a few more in the garage. I'd like to have a 458 of some description at some point. I definitely need to get one of the V12 GTs for journeys like we're doing now, sitting on the motorway at some point. And obviously lots of the limited specials are cars I'd love to share the experience of and drive and enjoy and own and keep forever if I can. So this holds a special spot, being my first ever new Ferrari. The Puro Sangue and 296 GTS follow, and they will definitely not be the last. So that is the one car that perhaps, if needs must, when the time comes, if I'm able to buy one, but it's really, 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 really expensive, this might have to go. That's probably the only reason. Fast forward a few hours and we are parked in a garage. I'm not gonna lie, driving on the motorways, the highways here in Switzerland is so far from exciting. There was nothing to share with you guys, believe me. You have not missed a thing, but we are here now with this car, which, even though it's not that warm here in the garage, it's warm enough that this is melting off so very quickly. And in fact, this ice on the mirror is literally just dirty, grimy, muddy, icy water. Yeah, which is going to make a complete and total mess. So I apologise to the garage here for all of that, but they do have a floor scrubber right alongside, which is something we need at the museum because it will make cleaning the floor very, very easy. This is handled today like a complete boss, to be honest. It's such a cool car. There are occasional electrical things that go a bit sideways when you're least expecting them, and I've spoken about that on video before, but considering what we're doing with the car and the fact that I've been driving it today in colder than -10 degrees Celsius temperatures and just using it, you know, doing photo shoots, spinning around, doing all sorts of stuff, and it's handled it all really well. And it's super cool with this. I've said it so many times, I'm going to say it again. So cool. Really fun to be able to just do something a bit different, even if it's a bit quirky, even if it's a bit silly, even if it would have made more sense to just bring my Ferrari GTC4 Lusso on this trip. This has been so cool. This is so much fun. And that's what it's about. And that's why I really love this car, because I'm building all these memories and stories and journeys and road trips and adventures and different things and different events it's been to with the car. And there are going to be many more as well as we go forwards from here. Also, this trip obviously is not even over at this point. We've still got more to come with it to enjoy and to keep going with some miles. So I guess I'm not going to be selling this when the 296 arrives. That's step number one. The 296 itself is probably a year out. We've got some spec to go through very soon, nearly done with that. Puro Sangue probably going to arrive sooner, but we'll have to see exactly. Again, spec to come very, very soon on that front as well. But hey, who knows what happens further down the line? Who knows what cars, what opportunities, what things happen? But I really love everything around this. the Ferrari family. It's cliche to say it, but going to the different events, being part of everything, the community, it's really quite spectacular, to be honest. Ferrari is like here, it's at the top, as you know. Anyway, I can hear more snow and ice dropping off the car, so I shall leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you for your support as always. I appreciate it an awful lot. But that's it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!